Hey there, welcome back to BLO'S Closet, and if this is the first time here on the channel, you are very welcome to the channel. In today's video, I'll be sharing with us how to draft a basic sleeve pattern. So I'll be taking us through the process of drafting a short sleeve pattern and a basic long sleeve pattern. So if you're interested in learning something like this, keep on watching and let us head straight into this tutorial. I'll be using this brown pattern paper to draft my basic sleeve pattern, and this my paper is on fold so that once I am done drafting my pattern, I'll have one full piece. And make sure that you have enough pattern paper to accommodate your biceps and enough pattern paper to accommodate the length of your sleeve. All right, so first things first, I'll come to the top of this my pattern paper and I'll rule out a line. This line will serve as my starting line. Next, from my starting line, which is also my shoulder line, I'm going to be marking 4.5 inches. This 4.5 inches is the distance from my shoulder to my bicep. It's also known as the calf's height. So I'm also going to be marking this on the other side of my pattern paper and I'll rule out a straight line. You can use 5 inches for this. It's also going to give you a very nice result. Next, from my starting line, I'm going to mark the length of my short sleeve. For the length of my short sleeve, I'm going to be using 9 inches. I'll mark it on either sides of this my pattern paper and I'll rule out a straight line. Next, I will label these lines. This is the length of my sleeve and this is my bicep line, also known as the calf's height. Next, I'll come to this my starting line and I'll mark 4 inches. Okay, this is 4 inches. This is standard measurement. And next, I'll come to my bicep line and I will impute my bicep measurement divided by 2. I'm working with a bicep measurement of 12 inches divided by 2, and that will give me 6 inches. And I'll add extra 1.5 inches for seam allowance. Feel free to use whatever seam allowance you want. Next, I'll place my tape on that 4-inch mark that I marked out earlier, and I'll fold my tape into 2 to meet that my biceps line. What I'm trying to do is actually get the midpoint from my starting line to my bicep line, and I'll create a point right there. Okay, and this point will help me create a curve for my armhole. So in order to do this, I need you to watch carefully. I am going to be placing my curve ruler like this and I'll create a curve to meet that point, and I am going to flip my ruler and I'll create another curve to meet the point of my biceps line. Okay, so at the end of the day we are going to have something looking kind of like an inverted S. So feel free to use your free hand to create this curve if you don't have a curve ruler. Most times I use free hand to sketch this. This is me measuring around my curved area to make sure that I have my armhole measurements plus seam allowance. My armhole measurement is 16 inches and that is divided by 2 is 8 plus 1.5 inches for seam allowance. So everything is basically complete. So next I'll come to the length of my sleeve and I'll mark out the measurement that I have around that area, and it is still 12 inches for me divided by 2, which is 6 inches, and I will add my 1.5 inches for seam allowance and I'll connect this point like this, and finally I'll be cutting this pattern out. After cutting out my pattern, guys, this is what I have. Our basic short sleeve pattern is ready, and the next thing I'm going to do is rule out this my bicep line on the other side of this my pattern, and I am going to divide this my pattern into 2, that indicating that that is the center of my pattern. Next, I drew in my green line and indicated how many pieces I should cut, and also indicate who this pattern is for. So for this pattern you're going to be cutting 1 piece because it is a full sleeve block. Alright, you're only going to cut on fold if you only drafted half of this pattern. Next, we are moving to the drafting of the long sleeve pattern, and right here I have my pattern paper on fold just like I did for the short sleeve pattern, and my pattern paper is long enough to accommodate the length of my long sleeve. And first things first, what I'm going to do is I'll come to the top of this my pattern paper and I'll rule out a line which will serve as my starting line. Okay, so after ruling out this line, I am going to be marking 4 inches. You know, when we were drafting out our short sleeve pattern, we marked out 4.5 inches, but for this one I am going to be marking 4 inches. This is because a long sleeve is not supposed to have a very long cap's height. Okay, but you can use 4.5 inches or even 5 inches, but for my long sleeves I like the curve to be a little bit more shallow instead of being deep. So next I am going to be marking the distance from my shoulder to my elbow, and that is 11 inches for me. Go ahead and use your own measurement. So this is 11 inches and I'll rule out that line. Next I am going to mark the distance from my shoulder line, that's my starting line, to the length of my sleeve, and that is 24 inches for me. Now I'll go ahead and label my lines. This is the length of my sleeve, this is my elbow line, this is my bicep line, and I'll come to the starting line and I'm going to mark 4 inches just like we did when we're drafting the short sleeve pattern. And I'll go to my bicep line and I'll divide my bicep measurement, which is 12 inches, by 2, and I'll add 1.5 inches for my allowance. Next I'll place my tape rule on that 4-inch mark that I made earlier, and the distance from my starting line to my bicep line is actually 4 inches, and I'll be folding my tape into 2 to get the midpoint, which is 2 inches, and that point that I made there will serve as a guide for me to create my curve. And just like we did for the front, I am going to be using the curved part of my ruler to create a curve to meet this point like this, after which I'll flip my ruler to the other side to complete my curve. Okay, feel free to use your free hand to sketch this. You can use a pencil to make your curves and then permanent it with a marker. Next I am going to impute my elbow measurement. So my elbow round is 11 inches divided by 2, that is 5.5 inches, and I added my 1.5 inches for my seam allowance. Now I'll go to the length, which is basically my wrist measurement. My wrist measurement is 8 inches. 8 inches divided by 2 is 4 inches, so I'm going to mark that down and add extra 1.5 inches for seam allowance. And next I am going to be connecting these points with the help of my straight ruler. Next I'll go to the curved area and measure out what I have there to make sure that it accommodates my armhole measurement. My armhole measurement is 16 inches divided by 2 is 8 inches, so I have about 9 inches here in total. So I have extra 1 inch for seam allowance instead of 1.5 inches, and this is because the curve on this our long sleeve pattern is shallower compared to that of the short sleeve pattern. And next, this is me here cutting out our long sleeve pattern. So after cutting out this pattern, this is what it looks like. I'm going to open it up and we have one complete piece. So you can decide to draft your pattern in half or draft it on fold to have a complete piece like this. So this is me rolling out a line in the middle to indicate the center of this my pattern, and I'm also going to roll out this my bicep line onto the other side of this my pattern. And next I am going to draw in my grain line and I'll write down my annotations indicating how many pieces I should cut and who this pattern is for. I also indicated that this is my long sleeve pattern. So basically the only difference between a long sleeve pattern and a short sleeve pattern, besides the length of the sleeve itself, is the cap's height. The cap's height of a long sleeve pattern is usually shallower than that of a short sleeve. I like it to be shallower than that of the short sleeve. So basically for me, that is the only difference. So my people, we have come to the end of this tutorial, and if you found this video helpful in any way at all, please go ahead and hit that like button for me so that more people can get to see this video. And if this is the first time here on this channel or you're not yet subscribed to this channel, please hit that subscribe button for me. Leave your questions, your thoughts, your suggestions in the comment section, and turn on your post notification bell so that you would not miss an exciting video from me. And I will see you in my next video, guys. Bye guys.